A man can be crazy about you and still not respect you. Let that sink in. He can chase you, sleep with you, tell you he loves you, and still deep down not see you as someone worth stepping up for. That's the part most women don't see coming. Most women think respect just shows up automatically once a guy commits, once he says he cares, once he sticks around long enough. It doesn't. Respect gets earned by how you carry yourself, and men show it through what they actually do, not what they promise. There are 6 things men only do for women they truly respect. They don't pretend. They don't do them out of guilt, and they don't give them just because you begged for it. If you've ever felt like his effort disappeared, like what matters to you doesn't register with him anymore, this isn't about making him love you harder. It's about spotting the 6 signs that show you exactly where you stand before you waste years hoping he'll change when he never will. Attraction is easy. It's looks, it's chemistry, it's that spark. Respect is something else entirely, and it happens on a whole different level that most women never figure out. A guy can want you. He can enjoy hanging out with you. He can build a whole life with you and still not respect you. That's the part women don't want to hear because they think him staying means he values you. It doesn't. Attraction is how he feels around you. Respect is how much you actually matter in his world. When attraction is high but respect is low, you don't become his equal. You become his safe place. The woman he comes home to, vents to, leans on, but doesn't listen to. You're there to make him feel better, not to actually guide anything. And that's where women get stuck. They think being sweet, patient, and understanding will eventually make him see them differently. It won't. It makes him comfortable. Without respect, you're not leading anything in the relationship. You're just reacting to whatever he does. You adjust, you explain yourself, you make it easier for him. And slowly, without a single fight, your voice gets quieter. Here's what most women learn way too late. A man doesn't follow the woman he likes. He follows the woman he respects. And everything you're about to hear flows from that one truth. Number 1, he listens and actually changes his behavior. Most guys can talk. They can explain how they feel, give reasons for what they did, make promises about doing better. But actually listening, really hearing you, that's rare. Here's what most women miss. A guy can hear your words without taking you seriously. He can nod, say sorry, even agree with you and change absolutely nothing. That's not him misunderstanding. That's your words not carrying any weight with him. When a man truly respects you, something shifts. He doesn't cut you off. He doesn't jump straight to defending himself. He doesn't turn what you said into an argument about something else. He gets quiet, not cold, focused. Because in his head, what you're saying isn't just noise. It matters. You bring something up once and he remembers. You tell him a boundary and he adjusts without you having to remind him 10 times. You point out something he's doing wrong and you don't get pushback, excuses, or him turning it around on you. Why? Because respect changes how his brain files away your voice. It moves you from the she's emotional again category into the she has a point category. What you say stops being background chatter and starts being something he actually considers. Now look at the opposite. If you're constantly repeating yourself, if every concern turns into you having to explain it 5 different ways, if he agrees in the moment but nothing ever actually changes, you're not being heard. You're background noise. And no man respects background noise. This is where a lot of good women lose ground. They think if they're just patient enough, calm enough, nice enough, he'll eventually start listening. So they soften how they say things. They over-explain. They try to sound more understanding, more reasonable, more chill. All that does is teach him your words don't require action. A man doesn't change for a woman he sees as the same as him. He changes for a woman he sees as operating above the drama, someone whose perspective actually counts for something. And notice this, when respect is real, the change doesn't come with attitude. There's no huffing, no eye rolls, no silent treatment after. He doesn't feel attacked when you tell him something. He feels like he's getting back on track because in his mind, ignoring what you said would feel wrong. Here's the line every woman needs to sit with. No man respects a woman he can ignore. If your words don't move him, your position is already slipping. And the longer you let that pattern continue, the harder it becomes to shift. Because every time you speak and nothing happens, you're training him that your Ice is optional. That's not about him being a bad guy. That's about the dynamic you're allowing to take shape. When a woman demands to be heard, not through yelling or drama, but through how she shows up, a man who respects her will adjust. A man who doesn't won't even notice the problem. Number 2, he watches how he talks to you. If you want to know how a man really sees you, don't just watch what he does. Listen to how he talks to you, because the way someone speaks to you is never an accident. It's a power thing. Sarcasm, little digs, jokes at your expense, comments that sting but get brushed off as just kidding. That's not banter. That's not his sense of humor. And it's definitely not because he's comfortable. That's him testing where you rank. When a man doesn't respect a woman, he talks to her the way he talks to people he feels above. He pokes, he pushes, he sees what he can get away with, not on purpose necessarily, but instinctively. Every sarcastic remark is basically asking, how much can I lower you without any pushback? Now watch what happens when respect is there. That edge vanishes, not because he's scared of you, but because something in him doesn't register you as someone he can casually run over. The filter kicks in automatically. He picks his words. He doesn't mock you in front of other people. He doesn't take little verbal shots to feel bigger. And here's what women get wrong about this. He's not walking on eggshells. He's just matching his tone to how he sees you. Men don't talk recklessly around women they can't afford to disrespect. Same way you don't joke carelessly with someone whose opinion of you actually matters. He doesn't casually tear down a woman he sees as solid. Pay attention to patterns. Does he talk to you like you're one of his buddies? Does he tease you the same way he teases women he doesn't take seriously? Does he correct you in public, challenge you just to challenge you, or laugh at you instead of with you? Those aren't personality quirks. Those are signals. A man who respects you protects how you're seen, especially with his words. He gets, even if he doesn't think about it consciously, that how he talks to you shapes how he feels about you. Disrespect doesn't start with cheating or lying, it starts with tone. And once he gets used to lowering you with his words, the internal ranking is already set. This is why women who let disrespectful talk slide slowly lose their voice. Every ignored comment teaches him your boundaries are negotiable. Every time you laugh it off, his brain learns he can rank you lower without consequences. And the worst part? It happens so gradually that you don't even notice until you're in a relationship where you feel small and you can't even pinpoint when it started. Here's the truth most women avoid. How he talks to you shows how he ranks you. If his mouth has no filter around you, it's because his respect already dropped or was never there to begin with. And once that tone is set, it's incredibly hard to reverse without completely resetting how you show up. Number 3, he makes real changes without making you the bad guy. There's a difference most women don't catch until it's too late, and by then the damage is done. It's the difference between hearing what you said and actually doing something about it. A guy can listen to your concern and still disrespect you in how he responds. You know that moment when you bring something up calmly, clearly, and he hits you with that's just who I am. You're being too sensitive. All guys do that. That's not honesty. That's defense. When a man doesn't respect a woman, every request feels like an attack. He has to protect himself. He has to explain why you're wrong. He has to justify. And suddenly, a simple ask turns into a whole debate. But when respect is real, the response looks completely different. He doesn't argue. He doesn't make it a big thing. He doesn't turn it into some conversation about his identity. He just adjusts quietly. Not because he's scared of losing you, but because being out of sync with you feels off to him. In his world, your standards matter. What you expect carries weight. So when you point something out, it doesn't trigger his ego, it triggers him wanting to fix it. This is what women misunderstand about being with a man who respects you. You don't have to force it. You don't have to demand it. When a man sees you as someone worth respecting, fixing things for you doesn't feel like he's giving in. It feels like he's getting himself right, like he's lining up with something that matters. That's why there's no attitude attached, no sighs, no passive-aggressive energy, no cold shoulder afterward. He doesn't need convincing. He doesn't need follow-up conversations. He doesn't need you to explain why it matters. He just does better Now compare that to the guy who makes you manage his reactions every time you bring something up, the guy who makes you tiptoe around issues because it always turns into a fight, the guy who makes you avoid saying what's bothering you because it's just easier not to. That guy isn't listening. He's making you negotiate from the bottom. And here's the hard truth most women need to hear. If every time you ask for something it turns into drama, you're not being heard. A man who respects you doesn't fight your standards. He rises to them because respect isn't loud. It just happens. And when it's missing, you can feel it in every conversation that goes nowhere, in every promise that doesn't stick, in every moment where you realize you're managing his feelings instead of him managing his behavior. The difference is night and day. A man who respects you makes you feel like your needs are reasonable. A man who doesn't makes you feel like you're asking for too much, even when you're asking for the bare minimum. Number 4, he talks about you with pride when you're not around. Respect shows itself most when you're not there. Not when you're sitting next to him, not when you're doing things for him, but when your name comes up and you're nowhere around to hear it. This is where a lot of women get blindsided. A guy can be affectionate in private and still quietly downplay you in public. He might not mention you much, brush it off when someone asks about you, act vague about the relationship, or worse, justify why he's with you like he needs to explain his choice. That's not him being private, that's him hesitating. When a man respects a woman, he doesn't hide her, he doesn't minimize her, he doesn't act like being with her is separate from who he is. His tone shifts when he talks about you. There's weight to it. He brings you up. He defends you. He mentions what you think even worse, hen you're not there. And here's why this matters. Men are aware of how they're seen. Publicly linking themselves to a woman is a statement. It signals value, direction, status. So they're picky about it. They don't attach their name to someone who lowers how they're viewed. When he talks about you with pride, it means he sees you as raising his standard. You're not just the woman he's sleeping with, you're the woman he measures other women against. Now flip it. If he avoids talking about you, if he keeps things vague, if he downplays your role in his life, that's not privacy, that's distance. It means on some level he hasn't fully committed to you in his own head. And you can't have respect without commitment. This is why women who don't get respected feel invisible outside the relationship. They exist in private, but not in his bigger world. He keeps options open. He keeps stories flexible. A man who respects you doesn't do that. He stands on his choice. He doesn't need to hedge. He doesn't need to keep things unclear. Because in his mind, being with you is something he's proud of, not something he needs to manage how other people see. And you can feel this difference, even if you're not there to witness it. It shows up in how his friends treat you, in how his family talks to you, in how comfortable he is bringing you into every part of his life. When a man is proud of you, everyone around him knows it. When he's not, you can feel yourself being kept at arm's length from the parts of his world that matter. Here's the line women need to stop ignoring. If he hides you, he doesn't respect you. Respect makes a man proud to be linked to you, not because of what you do for him, but because of who you are. Number 5, he asks what you think before making big decisions. There's a quiet shift that happens when a man truly respects a woman. He stops moving first and starts checking in. Attraction makes him want your time. Respect makes him want your input. When a man sees you as someone with good judgment, he naturally brings you into his thinking, not because he needs permission, but because what you think matters to him. He asks your opinion before reacting emotionally. He pauses before committing to something big. He wants to know how you see it. That's not weakness, that's respect. This is where a lot of women accidentally give away their position. They say things like, just do whatever feels right to you, thinking it sounds supportive. What it actually does is remove them from the equation. A man doesn't ask input from a woman he sees as optional. When he respects you, your opinion becomes an anchor point. It steadies him. He feels better making decisions when he's lined up with how you see things. That's influence, not control. Now look at the opposite pattern. He makes big moves without saying anything. He tells you after everything's already done. He treats your reaction like an inconvenience instead of something worth considering. That dynamic tells you everything. You're not part of his thinking. You're just someone who needs to be updated. Men often get away with this because women don't want to seem controlling or insecure. But being respected isn't about control, it's about being included before the choice gets made. A man who respects you doesn't avoid your perspective. He wants it. He knows you see things he might miss when he's too caught up in how he feels. And here's the key difference every woman needs to understand. Being included is respect. Being informed is not. If he only tells you after everything's locked in, your role has already shrunk. Respect. Seat brings your voice in early, not as a courtesy, but because he needs it. Think about the decisions he's made recently. Did he ask you first or tell you after? Did he want your take? Or just expect you to go along with it? Did he consider how it affects you? Or did he move forward assuming you'd adjust? Those answers tell you everything about where you stand. A man who respects you treats your input like it's valuable. A man who doesn't treats it like it's optional. And once you become optional in his decision-making, you've already lost ground you might never get back. Number 6, he stops playing games and starts making your life easier. Games aren't random. They're not just how guys are, and they're definitely not a sign he's into you. Games are a power move. When a man doesn't respect a woman, he creates uncertainty to see how much he can get away with. He pulls back to see if you'll chase. He starts arguments over nothing. He creates tension just to feel like he's got the upper hand, not because he's evil, because it's instinct. Chaos gives him control when he doesn't feel solid himself. But when a man meets a woman he genuinely respects, something fundamental changes. He settles down, not because he's bored, not because he's losing interest, but because something in him stops needing to test you. A man who feels solid inside doesn't need to play games to feel powerful. He doesn't need you chasing. He doesn't need drama to know where he stands. And because you can't be rattled, there's no point in trying to shake you. That's when things get calm. He stops creating problems. He stops pushing buttons. He stops trying to win. Instead, he starts adding value. He gets softer, not weaker. Cooperative, not controlled. He starts making your life easier because he sees that you're already solid without him. This is the moment a lot of women misread. They think he's less intense, maybe he's losing interest. No, he's losing the need to test. A man only fights for control when he doesn't trust himself to hold it. Once he respects you, he relaxes into working with you. He doesn't want to compete with you. He wants to fit with you. And that's the whole point. He doesn't want to challenge you anymore. He wants to support you. Here's the truth. Most women never connect. Calm isn't what a man gives to the woman he's comfortable with. Calm is what he gives to the woman he can't shake. If being around you quiets his chaos instead of feeding it, respect has already taken root. And when a man makes your life easier, it's because he stopped trying to take power from you and started trusting you with it. Pay attention to this shift. When a man respects you, he stops making everything harder. He doesn't create unnecessary drama. He doesn't play hot and cold. He doesn't make you guess where you stand. He shows up consistently because in his mind, making your life difficult would be working against himself. You become someone he wants to build with, not someone he needs to keep off balance to maintain control. What these 6 behaviors have in common isn't strategy. They're not tricks he performs. They're not things you demand from him. They're responses. Each one is a reaction to the same basic thing, how he sees you. When a man truly respects a woman, he naturally lines up with her. He listens because what she says matters. He watches his tone because her position is solid. He changes without drama because her standards feel real. He talks about her with pride because being connected to her lifts him up. He asks what she thinks because her judgment is trusted. He makes life easier because there's no need to fight for control. None of this comes from begging for it. All of it comes from who you're being. That's the part most women try to skip. They want the behavior without the foundation, the commitment without the standard, the respect without showing up differently. And when they don't get it, they think something's wrong with men. It's not. Men don't withhold respect to punish women. They respond to what they see. And what they see gets shaped by consistency, boundaries, self-respect, and how you carry yourself, not by how much you give or how hard you try to keep the peace. When respect is there, power struggles disappear. He stops testing boundaries. He stops fighting the hierarchy. He settles into working with you because it feels right, not because he's forced. Here's the shift every woman has to make. You don't ask for respect. You don't beg for it. You become the kind of woman it naturally attaches to. These 6 behaviors aren't goals you chase. They're proof. And if they're missing, the answer isn't to try harder. It's to look honestly at how you've been showing up. If there's one thing you need to walk away with, it's this. Men don't treat good women badly. They just don't follow women they don't respect. Most women never get clear on that. They think effort equals respect. That being nice should automatically earn his best. And when it doesn't, they learn the wrong lesson. They try harder, give more, explain themselves deeper. That's how women slowly erase their own voice. If you didn't see yourself in those 6 behaviors, don't panic and don't blame him. A man doesn't wake up one day deciding to downgrade a woman. He responds to the role she's been playing all along. Respect doesn't come from chasing approval. It doesn't come from being available without standards. And it never comes from bargaining away what matters to you just to keep him around. A woman who is respected doesn't beg to be heard. She isn't scared to be disagreed with. And she doesn't